Katie here with Omi Crochet, and in today's tutorial we are going to be making this moss stitch baby blanket. I ended up using the Bernat Softy cotton, and I really like the colors. I don't know, they're nice. I held two strands together, and as I worked through the blanket I ended up just fading the colors into one another. And I like the way that that looks and how it turned out. So it's super simple, beginner friendly. You can use any yarn, any colors that you want. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's get started. The supplies that we're going to need are a 7mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle. The yarn that we are going to be using for this project is Bernat Softy Cotton, and it is a lightweight 3. And the colors that I ended up choosing were Seaside Blue, Pool Green, Feather Gray, Golden, and Sandstone. You can use any yarn, any colors that you want. I did end up getting 2 skeins of each color except for the sandstone. You're only going to need one of those if you're following along with the same colors and pattern that I'm using. Before I started the blanket, I listed out my color pattern, and then I determined how many sections there were. And I know that I wanted my blanket to be 36 inches, so I counted both a solid section and the 2 different colors together as 1. So I ended up having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then this one, so 8.5 sections. So now to determine how big these sections are, I just took 36 and divided that by 8.5. And once I did that, each of these 2 sections needed to be 4.25 inches. So really you can make your blanket any size, and this is just kind of how to set it up, how to determine how big each section needs to be, and then you can move on from there. To start out, we are going to take our first color, the Seaside Blue, and I'm going to hold both strands together. And I am just going to do a small swatch to show you how it's done, but if you're following along to make the baby blanket, it is 30 by 36 inches. And you're going to need to chain 96. So go ahead and start out by making a slip knot. And I'm just going to go ahead and chain 12. So when I do the moss stitch, I like to chain an even number of chains. That way my first row will have an odd stitch count, because this one right here is our chain up 1. So what we're going to do is into the second chain from the hook into the 3rd loop, go ahead and place a single crochet. So insert your hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Insert your hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. And just keep placing single crochets all along your chain, and in the end you should have a total of 95 stitches. For row 2, we're going to start out by chaining 1, and into this first stitch place 1 single crochet, followed by a chain 1, and now we are going to skip a stitch. Into the next stitch, place a single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and repeat that same thing. Single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and work that all the way to the end. And now that I'm at the end, chain 1 and into this last stitch, a single crochet. For row 3, go ahead and chain up 1. So I kind of do the moss stitch when it comes to the ends a little differently. I'm not sure if I've ever seen anyone do it like this before or not, but so I start out by chaining 1 and into the top of the single crochet from the previous row, go ahead and place a single crochet. Into the chain space, place a single crochet. And now we're going to chain 1, skip 1, and into the chain space, single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, into the chain space, single crochet, and repeat that all the way until you get to the end. Once you get to the end, your last chain space, place a single crochet, and then into the last stitch of the previous row, which is a single crochet, you're going to single crochet into there. And it's really like a 2-row repeat. So the first one will start out with single crochet, chain 1, and then the following row will be 2 single crochets, then start your chain 1, skip 1, single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. It gives it a nicer looking edge, I think. But moving on to the next row, chain 1, turn your work. And now we're going to start out with single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, into the chain space, single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and work that all the way across, ending with a single crochet in the last stitch. And one more time, we'll do the next row, single crochet into the first stitch, single crochet into the chain space, chain 1, skip 1, and continue working that until the end. Now that I'm at the end, I have this chain space. I'm going to single crochet into there and into the last stitch of the previous row, place a single crochet. And then you're going to just continue doing that until you have a total of 8 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to do 3 more. And I'll meet you up after I have those done. I am on my 8th row, and I'm going to chain 1, insert your hook, draw up a loop, but do not finish your single crochet. From here, go ahead and just cut 1 of the strands of blue. Go ahead and grab whatever color you're using next. I'm using the pool green, and I'm just going to lay it across here, pick up my blue strand, and I'm going to pull both of those through. Go ahead and chain up 1, and since the last row started with 1 single crochet, this one's going to start with 2. So yarn over, pull through, another single crochet into the chain space, and then continue working your single crochet, chain one, skip one until you get to the end. Now that we're at the end, into the chain space, single crochet, and single crochet into the top of the last stitch. And that is how you change colors. So I worked 8 rows of the solid, and to get my 4.25 inches, I went ahead and did 6 in the green, the teal, and the blue. So 8 rows solid, 6 rows of the 2 colors. Okay, now that I have my 6 rows, I'm going to chain 1, insert your hook, draw up a loop, and from here we are going to cut the blue yarn. And now we are going to add on the other teal yarn to this. So we'll have a solid section, a 2-color section, a solid section, and so forth. Go ahead and lay that across and just pull through. Now that we're on a solid section again, we are going to work 8 rows. After you work those 8 rows, cut one of your teal strings and move on to the next color. Finish up your 8 rows of the solid, and then we are going to move on to 6 rows of the 2-color. And like I showed you before in the beginning of the video, I went ahead and wrote out my color scheme, and as you go, you can just go ahead and check off. That way it just helps you keep track of what's coming next, and it just involves less thinking that way, I suppose. When you get to the final row of the blanket, all that you're going to do is single crochet into each stitch. That way we're matching up with what we have going on at the bottom of the blanket. So you have your chain 1, go ahead and single crochet into the chain space, single crochet into the single crochet from the previous round, and again into the chain space. And just keep repeating that until you get to the end of the row. And once you get to the end of the row, place your final single crochet, go ahead and chain up 1, and then cut your yarn. And the last thing you'll need to do is sew in your ends, and you'll be done. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, thanks.